Why did you leave your last job? For the love of Pete, as a job seeker, never do this. Whenever we interview for jobs, we talk about different employment opportunities. We talk about ourselves. We talk about our background. We talk about our work history. We always are eventually, inevitably, going to encounter that question, the why did you leave your last job question. And it's important actually to answer this properly, because employers, HR people are going to be looking for signs that you're a negative person, that you're a complainer, that you're somebody that they don't want in their environment. They're looking for evidence that you're a bad employee. And when they do that, when they ask this question, they're really digging for information. See, employers are not allowed to ask personal questions like, how many kids do you have? Are you married? And that sort of thing. They're not able to ask those sorts of questions. So what they have to do is they have to dig. They have to throw stupid questions at you to make you say something that you otherwise wouldn't want to say. And so you kind of have to be prepared that eventually during an interview, you're going to be asked that question. Why did you leave a certain position? And ultimately, you have a choice. You have to choose between honesty, or you have to adjust your answer just a little bit. Now, in the case of this person on Reddit, they ask, answering the why did you leave your last job interview question when you left due to a toxic work environment. And they say, the biggest issue was that management would take their anger out on us when they were stressed out, yelling, belittled, and even fired a coworker for no reason. The company had taken on more work than anyone could handle, and the managers did not know how to handle the stress well. I know it's frowned upon to talk negatively about a previous employer, so I'm trying to find a way around it. I'm thinking I'll either say something vague like, the company's values did not align with my own, or say I left to deal with a health issue that has since been resolved. I did have a health issue at the time, so I'm wondering if that's a safer answer. When I quit that job, I downgraded to an old job with less pay and fewer responsibilities. So I can't use the I left for a better opportunity line. So whenever you're talking about yourself and you talk about the prior employer, you always want to talk about them in a positive way, even if your experience wasn't that great. Okay, this is actually one of the hardest things to do a lot of times, especially if you're truly in a toxic environment. Now, I know it might be tempting to tell somebody, the boss and I didn't see eye to eye and things didn't go well and they yelled all the time and they just didn't appreciate me, so I quit. I know it's easy to say, and I know many of us have learned when we grew up, honesty is the best solution, things like that. But in this case, when you're doing an interview, when you're having somebody dive into your past, honesty is not really the best solution. Whenever you're doing an interview and you're talking about prior employers, you always talk about them positively. That's what you always do. In this case, they're talking about the management being mean, the management being stressed, the management being overworked. And therefore, because of that, they pass down the stress and the work to you. Now, it's understandable in that sort of situation where things would be toxic. And that's on not necessarily the supervisors, but the management of the company not bringing in enough people and not knowing how to handle their workload. And so they say, should I say something like, the company's value did not align with my own? Well, I'll tell you what, when I hear that as an interviewer, I hear nothing. It doesn't do anything for me as far as finding out whether you're a good employee or not. Because ultimately, when I'm doing interviews, I'm trying to find out what kind of person you are and what kind of values you have, because I need to know that if I put my trust, my faith in you as a future employee, that things are going to work out well. If you answer it this way, the company's value did not align with my own, all I'm going to think of is, okay, well, maybe it didn't go so well then, if that's how they had to answer. You actually need to be positive about it. And whenever you construct these answers, these positive answers, you want to put it into perspective of you and how it relates to the place that you're interviewing with. And so if you're interviewing with a new company and they ask, well, why did you leave this prior job? You say things like, I'm working on my 5-year plan, and my 5-year plan is to be at a situation to where I have learned this skill, this skill, this skill, and I'm in a position for management. And in the position and in that spot at that company, while it was a great company to work for, I didn't have those opportunities. So I needed to find those opportunities elsewhere. And from what I'm seeing from the job description of this position, I can make a lot of difference here. So you need to turn this not into a negative comment or even a neutral comment, but make it into a positive comment that to show that you have drive, to show that you are going places and that this potentially new company is going to contribute to that and that they're going to benefit from your prior experiences. Now, the other thing that they mention here, for the love of Pete, as a job seeker, never do this. Never do this. This is always an early sign, an early way to get removed from the interview process, where they say, I left to deal with a health issue that has since been resolved. Now, this may be true. This may be the absolute truth, but especially in first interviews, but pretty much in any interview, never, ever, ever give the employer a reason to not hire you. Don't tell them about your health history. Don't tell them. Don't tell them that, you had bronchitis really bad and you were out a month and it took a while before you were able to return to work. Don't tell them that you were diagnosed with diabetes and that it really affected how many hours you were able to work. Now, would it be honest? Yes. Is it good to disclose that you maybe have a certain condition or something that they need to know about so they're prepared for you? Yes, that would be good. But far too often, employers, especially HR people, are looking for any reason to cut you, any reason to boot you off the island. And if you give them the easy birdie, they're just going to put you out. They're going to get rid of you. They're going to say, well, thanks for interviewing, but your experience is not really what we're after, right? That's all they have to say. And just say that it wasn't quite right. Never disclose a medical condition, especially in the first interview. Now, if it's something really obvious, like you're on crutches or something of that nature, fine. Companies are not allowed to disqualify you because of your health situation, but it's pretty much impossible to prove that they did disqualify you. And this is what we have to deal with. As job seekers, we have to know that when we are interviewing at a place, we have to know that we're going to have to hold a little bit back. We have to protect ourselves a little bit because a lot of these places are after the perfect candidate. And if you have a health issue, you're not perfect. So what's the real reality here? The real reality is that many employers simply don't know how to hire managers. They don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to manage people. They don't know how to manage people properly. They're just bad. They don't know how to do it, even if they had too many people. And so this is one of the things this is a pet peeve of mine. You have an employer that hires, that makes too much money. They have too many clients, they have too many customers, which is a good problem to have. But then they don't hire people to fill the workload, to make sure that the work can get done. And a pet peeve of mine is you have all these people who can't find work, and you can't find a single one of them to at least handle a little bit of your workload, just a little bit. Hire them for $10 an hour. I know that the minimum wage issues. Hire them for just the minimum wage. Get some of the work done. Maybe find out that some of these people are kind of good, but they don't. No. They run with the skeleton crew. They run with we're going to run this car into the ground until the wheels come off, and then maybe we'll decide to do something. And this is what employers are doing, especially the bad one, because we have had too many years of the wrong people giving bad advice as how to manage employees. Too many people in the past in recent years have been saying, oh, we just got to maximize productivity. Oh, well, you're leaving 10% of your productivity on the table. We need to recapture that and get 100% of productivity. We can't be at 90, got to be at 100. We have too much of that going on. And all that ends up happening is that you don't have enough people to do the work. And then your company suffers. People quit becoming customers. And eventually you sell or go out of business. And the reality is many small businesses, many medium-sized businesses are struggling. We're in recession-like territory here. We're in crap session. And honestly, we're in a position to where a lot of these places are just trying to stay open. They'll take any work they can to keep the doors open, but they don't have the people, the manpower, the people power to make it work. And the reality is it's an economy issue. It's always the economy. The economy is not strong enough. We have too many people out of work. We have too many companies, too many massively large companies, and not enough small companies. We don't support local. We don't do any of that stuff. All we do is fail. And if we really, really want to bring the country back, we need to bring the manufacturing back to our country. We need to put all the jobs that we can in our country, make it easy to start a business, easy to stay open as a business. And then we don't punish those people who've had just an ounce of success. We need to give people a reason to start businesses. And we don't. We make it too difficult, too expensive, and just, in a lot of cases, not worth it. But if we do those things, we bring the manufacturing back, we allow small companies to start again, to grow again, then our country will become strong economically, the jobs will be there, the pay will increase, and we'll have a lot more happiness. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm 𝐸𝐵. This is JobFerno. If you have any questions, send me an email at questions@jobferno.com. And as always, choose skills over money.